with the engine now completely stripped, I'm ready to buy in the parts that are required for the rebuild. The block has gone off for machining. The main bearing journals, the diameters for the bearings were not consistent, they weren't within spec. One of them was slightly too large, so that's gone away to be machined. It's going to be taken out 0.25 millimeters. The heads are also away, having some work done on them, so they'll be in the next video when they come back. So in the meantime, whilst that's been done, I've ordered all the parts I need to build the long block. So this is just up until we get the heads installed. So in this video, I'm just going to go through and explain what I've bought and why I've bought it. So in no particular order, going through these. So I've basically printed off the Porsche parts manual and highlighted all the parts that I needed. Cylinder head gaskets. These, you see the part number listed on there. So these are a 997 part because it's a 3.8 litre, so different size cylinders. So 3.8 litre part for that. And for the actual cylinder gaskets, though they're going to be using the standard 3.6 parts. So we've got the O-rings, the gaskets, and also the special grease that's required for fitting them. Apparently that's to make sure that the O-rings don't get nicked as it goes in. Oil pumps, I'm changing all the oil pumps. They're not particularly expensive, so it's just more of a security thing, just to make sure everything's okay. So those are the two scavenge pumps, as you see there, with the O-rings, and then also the main scavenge and pressure pump, which is there. So again, that's the standard 996 part number, although I think it has actually been slightly superseded from that number. I think it now ends in 94. On the internals of the engine, actually within the crankcase, it's basically seals and O-rings. So these seals and O-rings on here, including all the little rubber O-rings that go on the through bolts and the like. And the same again for the other half of the crankcase. As you can see there, various sealing washers, so there's not a lot in some of these. Then onto the chain cases. So here I'm going to be replacing the tensioners, the chain tensioners. The old ones, apparently you can't really tell whether they're worn or not, and they tend to just let go if there's a problem. So safest to change those. They are quite expensive. All the parts for this are quite expensive, but I've been told it's a safe thing to do anyway. So again, other than that, it's then just other gaskets. So here you can see the various gaskets. Note these are 959 part number. There are a few parts on the engine where it does share components with the 959 engines. There's a few 959 part numbers. Onto the cam carrier. So again, gasket for that, and other than that, it's basically oil seals and covers, so no major parts there. Chain guides, so both timing chains. There's 4 guides, so two on each side, and then there's another small guide there which goes on top. Also the bolts which go into the ends of the camshafts. So there's 4 bolts, also all of the lifters as well. So you can see the lifters there. And then other than that, again, are the bearings for the intermediate shaft as well. So there are 4 parts for that. So there's two bearings. The shells are bought at individual items, so there's 2 of each of those to buy. So again, they're all in there along with the guides. Apparently these guides don't tend to wear, but I figured since I was changing all of the other parts, basically I'm changing all the parts that can wear, so the engine's just completely freshened up. Then also on the main bearings and the big end bearings, so these come as a kit. So you can see there's one part number which covers all of them. There's various different oversizes available for this. The one I've ordered is 0.25 millimeter oversize on the outer with a standard size inner, and the big end bearings are just standard, so they come as they did come as a kit in a box, so I've just taken out all of the individual parts from those. The cylinders here, these are the 3.8 litre cylinders, so they're slightly larger diameter than the 3.6 litre ones which came out. So brand new set of those ready to go in, and the con rods to go with them. Because I'm using a 4 litre crankshaft along with the 3.8 litre pistons, you have to use these, these are known as the Carrillo short rod with the 23mm wrist pin. So those were ordered for that. And then the final part is the crankshaft, which I'll show you this picture of just here. So the crankshaft, you can see the part number on there. This is a 4 litre GT3 RS crankshaft. So those are all the main parts. That's everything in. In terms of the pricing for the parts, there's something like 190 individual parts that were needed for it. The oil pump itself is the main oil pump, and these two oil pumps here, they make up a chunk of the money for it, but also a big part is the bearings as well, all the bearings for these, particularly because this is an oversized set. It's considerably more expensive. So this bearing set here cost about the same as the main oil pump, and then the chains, the guides, it certainly all adds up. The most expensive single component obviously being the crankshaft, which is a motorsport item, but I have managed to get some of the money back, so I'm selling off the old crankshaft and also the old con rods as well, which I no longer need, so those have been sold to help reduce the cost slightly. On the new crankshaft, I measured the bearings on it. I previously commented on the size of the big ends and main bearings. But if you look at the measurements on here for the new crankshaft, you'll see that they are all basically the same size, to within a couple of thousandths of a millimetre as far as I can tell with my measurements. There's no published specification for the actual journal sizes for the GT3 engine, but when it comes to the earlier engines, the tolerances all end in 0.971 to 0.990 millimeters. So on those specifications, these would be right down at the bottom end, but it seems they just run a bit more clearance on the GT3 engines, because as I say, there is no actual published spec to go on, but apparently they're all around this size. So that's it for this video. When I get the next one through, I should have the machined block finished and the heads back, so I'll be able to go over the details on those.